girls are like, oh, I wish a guy would come up and talk to me and like meet someone in real life. And then someone comes up to talk to you and you're like, don't talk to me, you weirdo.
Crazy creep.
And I'm like, I'm sorry.
This was Josh before we jumped on the podcast. All right, gentlemen, there's a lady present. Everyone act on their best behavior, please.
Yes.
Act on their best behavior. No, we have Miss Spezzano here, everybody. Look at her. She's so lovely. Look at her. Yeah.
Welcome.
Cody's not excited at all over there.
I'm excited. I hold it internally.
You better be excited.
And we also have another guest. I like to call her Legs. Old Kirby Legs.
Welcome.
If you guys are wondering what this was a random gift given to Cody on his birthday, and we just thought we have to put this on the podcast. I don't know what this is. For those who aren't watching, it's literally just the character Kirby, the video game character Kirby, with long, scandalous legs.
Sexy legs.
Yeah, in stockings and in red slippers.
So Kirby's power is to suck in creatures and absorb their powers. And what he did, he went to Vegas. Went to a strip club.
Sucked up a stripper.
Obviously, that's what happened here.
He's the best pole dancer.
Yeah. But anyway, that was the one
amazing.
gag we're going to do with that. We could probably get rid of this now.
No, that has to be our mascot from now on.
You move it closer.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And get out of here, you crazy. All right.
Oh, her legs are separate. They move separately. That's weird. So she really could walk in
really.
here.
She really get out of here. You could do a lot more.
If you were to read the transcript of my first date, it's similar.
Oh.
Gosh.
What?
You're going to jail.
Jeez, Kirby.
No,
I've called the
obviously,
police already.
we know Jem from doing Social Norm. For those who don't know what Social Norm was, it was a feature film we made now 5 years ago. Can you believe it? It's been 5
moly.
years. Yeah? It's been a long time. It's actually, well, we're almost there. In August, it'll be 5 years. But close enough.
Craig and the Bray Bray.
Time is flying by. But yeah, it was all in this house. And Jem was our lead actress amidst all of us crazy dudes here. And from what you remember, were you at all wondering, what the hell am I doing making a movie with these guys who obviously are not actors, if you will? And somehow, like, I would qualify you as a professional actress. You have acted in other stuff before. You were just actually on Magnum PI. Mm-hmm. So you have done some stuff in LA and Hollywood, and then you show up here to help us with this crazy film.
Yeah.
What was your reaction to working with us?
Well, you said it already. I was like, what the hell am I doing here? What did I get myself into? How do I feign stomach poisoning and leave?
So when we called you and we said you should come on a podcast with us, you're like,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Worst nightmare. Okay.
Yeah, no, we shot a good portion of that movie in this house, and it was just the most stressful 2 weeks of my life, but it was also an exhilarating experience, and Jem is absolutely amazing in the film.
Thank you.
She acted circles around us, and we were just talking about this a couple weeks ago about when we filmed that. It was you and the other actresses that were in the film, Myrna and Gabby. You know, they only had a few scenes, but they seemed like they were just so professional in how, like, they were able to immediately jump into character. Whereas us, you know, we've been in front of the camera, you know, growing up and done little fun videos and whatnot. But we were just so in awe of, like, how they were able to do that.
Oh
and
my
we were just
God,
like,
they're actors.
yeah. Like, we're over here, like, just like, yeah. I don't know what we're doing. Like, we're all a bunch of goofs and whatnot. And every time, like, we see people, like, running around trying to set up lights, and we were just shocked. Like, we are totally know what we were doing here.
The thing that I was most impressed about was besides the wonderful acting from our wonderful actors, was the crew.
Yeah.
Because
they're amazing.
it was as if we were paying them far more than we were.
Well, hold on. we paid them a lot of money.
Well, I get it, but they were that like they had a sense of
They were that good.
They had a sense of urgency the entire time.
Yeah.
They wanted to go home. Yeah. No,
To escape the situation.
I felt like I felt.
They were stricken with fear the entire time. It was really interesting. I guess that's how that's Hollywood for you. No, they were like, I have not been on a bunch of actual professional sets, but I can imagine that there would be no difference from the way they operated to the way that the crew would operate on those sets. They were far more professional than, like, a lot of people I've worked with in business, which is sad.
I know, Jem, that you probably walked on the set of Magnum PI and just immediately just compared it to Social Norm.
Yeah.
You were just like, these guys aren't.
Nothing
there.
compares to Social Norm.
So when you work on a professional set like that, like what is, obviously there are some differences, but what is the most distinct difference?
Yeah, talent.
From
Why do you lower the bar?
Took the words out of my mouth.
exactly.
No. I think the size of the production. Like,
Yeah.
they have so many people working. They have trucks and, cranes and everything. And so we were working at a much smaller degree. But there's something really beautiful about that, too, because you get really comfortable, really familiar. Maybe a little uncomfortable with you guys, but everyone else really bonded. It was really great.
Yeah.
No, all joking aside, like, it was an amazing.
Josh doesn't believe it.
Not cool. Not cool.
I couldn't finish that sentence.
We can hear you.
I can't.
We're right here.
We can.
Social Norm was Josh's peak.
Dude. That was on my downhill slide. I peaked in 3rd grade. I remember the day. Nothing happened either. I was like, oh no!
It's happening.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I definitely I look back on that as a very fond memory. Of course, there was a lot of stressful moments in that, but again, I very much admired your acting in that. And one of the compliments I always got whenever we would screen the film, the first thing everybody would say was they said they really thought the acting was amazing. And I think that's not just kudos to her, but it's kudos to everybody else here and to Joel too, which he's not here. He's in Seattle, hanging out with his parents, Luke's parents as well. I guess they ditched you. They said we know who the favorite son is apparently.
We've known it for a long time.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's the first compliment I always get. So Jem obviously is an actress, but she's also a photographer. And she has a lot of really good...
Pronounced photographer?
Drop the Y. But no, she does a lot of really good photography, and you guys should check out her Instagram. What is your Instagram?
It is at jaimespezzano, and it's spelled JAIMESPEZZANO. If you could put that on the screen or something,
we will make
because
sure that is up there for people to see. Again, say that 10 times over everybody else that doesn't know her name.
I can't say it 1 time slow, so I'm not going to say it 10 times fast.
You said you always get Jamie, right? That's always...
constantly. Or
Only
Jaime.
to be fair,
Jaime.
only because it's spelled exactly like that.
Except for the apostrophe.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you
that
very
looks like a
much.
typo.
And
You're
the
a typo.
The I is
Thank you
before
very
the M.
You sound like my doctor.
Your doctor?
Yeah.
You're a typo.
Is it a boy or a girl? It's a typo. And I was right. That's actually when I peaked.
To this day, your doctor's like,
Yeah, I'm like, dude, that joke's old.
Yeah.
No, so you've been traveling a lot, and you were born and raised in Hawaii, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I knew that. I was just clarifying for the audience.
Correct.
But
You
yes,
don't have to say that, though.
I did. Now we can't go back, and I can't edit that for any reason. But no, you were born and raised in Hawaii, and then you've lived in LA, and then you've lived in Paris, actually, for a
Yes.
little bit of time. Have you lived anywhere else outside of those places?
Nope, I've traveled all over, but actual living, just Paris, LA, and Hawaii.
So, of all the places you've traveled, you've been doing, obviously, a lot of shots here and there. But what is the most beautiful place you've been to?
Ooh, that's hard.
Yeah. I came here with some really difficult questions.
I would maybe say, Paris is beautiful, but I'd have to say Lisbon, Portugal.
I'm glad you clarified. We were all like, where is that?
Lisbon, geography.
For you unworldly people here. I stayed in Alfama, which is like the old town of Lisbon, and it's just so picturesque and beautiful, and like peach tones everywhere, which is like a photographer's dream. So maybe Lisbon.
Peach tones are a photographer's dream.
Yes, at least this photographer's dream.
Luke, do you agree? Because you're a photographer too,
100%.
And you're wearing a peach shirt.
Right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Peach shirt. That's why I wore this.
It's pronounced p-shirt.
For
We planned this.
All right, I would like to ask photography questions now.
Okay.
gosh.
Go one at a time.
Not all the questions at once.
Yeah.
What is your favorite subject to photography?
Photography.
My favorite is street photography.
Street photography?
Yes.
Got
so
it.
So
that
gangster.
Well, so like anytime you get a client, it's usually them pulling up in a vehicle.
Yeah.
You leaning in through the window.
acting very street.
Go.
No,
What are you
different.
getting at?
Yes.
Whoa!
I forgot Cody was
Calm
there.
yourself.
He's terrified.
Okay, so street photography. So like cityscapes.
I like taking photographs in a city. I love capturing people living their day-to-day life in it. It sounds
Candid-
a little
candid
creepy.
stuff?
Yeah,
Got
candid
it.
stuff. If I was a creepy man, it would be like stalking, but
Yeah.
I'm a girl, so it's a little more acceptable.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say that was gonna be my next one. Is like I feel like that would be difficult. How do you go about how do you approach somebody? It's like I want to take your picture.
You don't. Well, that's the thing. You don't, right? This is candid. It's
But I mean,
So-
sometimes you have to engage them, right? I mean,
So there's liability. If you want to use the photograph for commercial use, you need their
Permission.
signature.
Sure.
Yeah.
I typically try to get far away enough so you can't actually see their likeness.
Okay.
So I don't have to do that because I haven't worked up the courage to go and be like, "Hey, I secretly took your photo like a creep. Can you sign this waiver so I
if
can
you ever want
use
if you
it?"
ever want to know what it's like, we'll talk after the show.
Got it.
So you all right. So you take pictures of strangers against their will.
Yeah.
How often?
Things get creepy quick.
What? Okay, so that's your favorite.
I think so. I like cityscapes more because I like seeing angles. I like different shapes in the photography as opposed to natural photography in nature.
Is there a? I'm trying to find the limit of your preference. Meaning, is it like a really dense city at a certain time of day, or is it just any populated area that's urban?
I prefer dense cities, older cities. I prefer golden hour time. Most photographers do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old
Lighting's really beautiful
Agreed,
at that
Luke?
point.
You like the golden hour?
well, yeah. I mean, the first. I mean, I usually do nothing that artsy. It's usually family portraits and weddings.
Hey, my dog took a dump. Click,
Yeah.
click, click,
Yes.
click.
100%. That's all.
But
I shoot.
only during golden hour.
But only when it's golden.
With
yeah,
peach
hue.
tones.
Yeah.
With peach stones around it. I just put peaches.
You only feed your dog peaches. You better some peach stones for me, I swear to God.
Yes. No. Literally, the first question when a client comes to me is like, "Hey, can you take my picture?" It's like, "Well, do you want to go in the morning or in the afternoon? When the sun's coming up or the sun's coming down?
Yeah, which one
that's
you
the
want?
only time you can take pictures."
That's what my doctor asks me when he is giving me laxatives.
You have a lot of visits with your doctor.
Yeah.
You don't go to the
How many
doctor.
doctors?
Oh my God! Too much.
HIPAA, Dylan. HIPAA.
My favorite time is happy hour.
Oh, shut.
That was the one joke I had, guys. One joke I got for the evening.
What drew you to Paris? I'm just curious. I've never been to Paris, so I'm like a newbie to Paris.
The tacos.
Yeah.
All
terrible,
Mexican food.
the
Yeah.
terrible tacos in Paris.
Do they have terrible tacos in Paris?
Yeah, they're known for
I'm
not
never
having
gonna
great.
go now.
Great Mexican.
You've made it to where I'm never gonna go to Paris now.
Thank God.
Every place except for Mexico and Southern California,
Right. Yeah.
or any of the
Yeah, that's why I don't go anywhere.
Border,
Yeah, they
It's known
only have French cooking there, which is just
Yeah.
the
Just,
bottom
yeah,
of the barrel.
yeah.
Wars
of the
thing.
food, right?
Only, but 90%
yeah.
is French food. I love it there so much because of the Haussmann architecture. It's just so beautiful. I love the Seine through the city. It's just so picturesque. But
It's the guys, right? The guys are hotter. Let's be honest. That's what it is. Let's be clear.
I wouldn't. No
that's a
comment.
yes. That's a yes, everybody.
Well, you live in LA otherwise, and so it's not like there's a shortage of good-looking people in LA.
That's very
If anything,
true.
I would imagine it would be the disposition of the men in France. or Paris?
Disposition. How do you mean?
What do you mean?
Elaborate.
They're not from LA.
Yes, I
They're not
love that
actors.
about them.
They're not actors. essentially,
Yeah,
is what you mean.
yeah. They don't have
That
frosted
too.
tips, and there might
Frosted
be
tips?
There might.
This is 2000s?
Let's pray.
Our dear Lord.
That's not how you pray.
Sorry.
Frosted.
For the next half hour. Intense praying.
There's more
Yeah.
romance there, I should say.
In what way? Like, there's more.
In a more
They don't make it out.
romantic
I'm
way.
like, I'm gonna take Amanda.
more
So,
romance.
In a
I literally thought
more
you said
romance.
romance. And Dylan's ears perked
More
up.
romance.
There's more PDA.
you would say that
Finally.
about me. In what way though? Like, is there just?
I mean, I
people-
feel like that's a cliche of Paris, but it's an actual.
But it's a
City of
real
love.
cliche.
It's a thing.
But I feel like
Yeah.
you go there and you put your romance colored glasses on.
Of course. And, being American and a girl, we go, and then all the wonderful French men are like, hello, baby, can I show you the city? And we're like, okay.
That's the accents, guys. That's what we've been doing wrong this whole time.
Maybe
need
work
French
on the
taking.
accents a little bit.
Actually, no. If you ever hear anybody talking French, it is a beautiful language.
It really
like, it
is.
is like amazing. I heard
So
people
difficult
speaking
to
fluent
speak
French.
it.
It was like, dude,
have
this-
you
I'm
ever heard me
excited.
speak Spanish?
Well, hold
It's
on.
amazing.
Yeah.
Brought me to tears.
grande negro pantalones.
Wow.
Okay.
Here's my number.
Yeah.
You're like an announcer. Like you're like the Disneyland
Auction
ride
salesman.
announcer.
Yo quiero tomar cerveza, por favor.
Please keep your arms relaxed inside the ride at all times.
So, obviously, me and Josh have lived in LA, and obviously, you live in LA too. Luke and Cody haven't had the
But
experience.
by the way, I'd like to introduce Cody
yeah.
for all of the
Hey, everybody, I'm still here.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, Cody. This is what Cody does.
Yeah.
But that's just his shtick.
we knew before it started we should not sit him next to her.
And we said legs is much more secure over here.
I feel like
Much
Cody and
safer.
I haven't experienced LA on purpose.
Yeah, there's a reason for this. I have a love-hate relationship with LA.
I
Which
remember
is,
this.
I
Everybody does.
love that there was so much to do. When I lived there, I loved the idea that anywhere I could go is someplace I've never been before. Living in Ventura here, because we were all born and raised here, you've seen every place at least a dozen times. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, except for you've seen every place a dozen times. But in LA, you also get all the crazy riffraff of just everyone's shooting up heroin, and you get the crazy people, crazy dudes, I'm sure, as a lady, that you're probably in LA, you're like, dude, it's just nuts down there.
Yep.
What do you have that same feeling about LA where it's like, I admire the people that like stay down there for a long period of time, because I'm like, I don't know how you do it.
I mean, when I first moved to LA, I was like, people lied to me when they told me about LA. It's not beautiful. It's not clean.
Yeah.
And
Who said LA was clean?
Yeah. Someone really
liars.
I feel like anytime, like if you watch a Travel Channel show about LA, it's like all palm trees and sunshine.
It's all Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
That's all you
yeah,
see.
yeah,
And you
and-
show up and you're like, what? Ah.
Yeah.
What is going on?
It's the Oscars. Everything's glamorous, and there's movie stars everywhere. You're like, no,
Your eyes aren't drawn to the palm trees; they're drawn to like the street corners where you're like, "Oh my god!" Like
That's Josh.
that's Joshua, and he's homeless.
He's waving for those who can't see.
So I've lived in LA many a years, and I will say that it's just a matter. It's not better or worse. It's just a matter of preference.
I beg to differ.
Well, like it can only be a matter of preference, because what I mean is, it's not that there is a surplus of good in one or the other in LA or any urban environment versus a suburb. So
I don't know. The downtown streets of Chicago, where people are getting shot up left and right, I would say is probably not as good as like
unless
say,
you're the
Hawaii.
people doing the shooting.
Yeah.
And now you prefer to be okay. No, what I mean is if you are in the mood for something you haven't experienced,
Debauchery.
to debauch, for something that a restaurant you haven't been to, or something slightly more exotic, if you're in the mood, well, get ready for a road trip if you live in LA. I mean Ventura, because you're not going to be able to get it. If you live in LA, you can throw a rock and hit a place you haven't been before.
Yeah.
And so, and that's not to be dismissed, because that's a very valuable component to living there. Also, you are exposed to a lot of people from cultures that
Colts?
from cults.
Those LA cults.
They're dangerous, those ones.
Yeah. Celebrity Center.
Yeah, no kidding. I used to live down the street from the Scientology Celebrity
You
Center.
could literally,
Yeah,
you
I
could
can
walk
see it
there,
from my window.
Now they're going to stalk us.
Yeah, yeah. We just got sued.
Bring it on, Tom.
And so, yeah, and meeting a lot of different people from a lot of different places. I would say that is something that you end up losing out on living in a suburb. But at the same time, I love Ventura. But at the end of the day, it's a really skewed comparison, because both are in Southern California on the coast. And so at the end of the day, we have great weather, and we can't really complain.
Jem's raising her hand, waiting to speak.
Please.
To add on to that, LA is such a big melting pot of different cultures, and that's my favorite thing about it.
Yeah.
Growing up in Hawaii, it's very similar. There's so many different cultures and backgrounds and different kinds of people there, and that's what makes it really beautiful. And that's the same in LA.
Yeah.
You have everything in LA, and that's beautiful. As opposed to up in Ventura, it's beautiful and wonderful and a great community, but then you don't have as much diverseness.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also what you're there for. If you want to have like a, raise a family and own a van, sure. But lots. What?
I don't have a
He doesn't
van.
have a van.
Just a
Soon.
minivan.
But he's
Soon.
in the market.
I have a small SUV, guys.
No,
It's reasonable.
but also when it comes
It's
small bus.
economical.
It's a small bus.
Don't be so defensive. No, but also when it comes to talent. So, as from a musician's perspective, if you go to like an open mic night in any, not Ventura, any town, it's depressing. It's a horrible experience. You get sad.
I think that's the thing, is that when I say I have a love-hate relationship, I'm not like unique to why I love or hate it. I think it's all the same reasons why anybody else hates it. I hate the traffic. I hate the downtrodden people that are like on Skid Row, or like the crazy people that are walking down the street. We're like, whoa,
We're not so bad.
Like, hey, and Josh, you need to talk to your community more often.
No, I don't.
And it's just like overpopulated. It gets really hot and like sticky down there. It's not clean. Those are the things I don't like. But of course, the things I do like is that, like you said, there's talented people down there. I'm obviously a huge fan of the movie industry, so of course I'd like that city. There's so much to do down there. So it's kind of like a give and take. But I think in the long term, the reason that I wouldn't want to live there is because I think most anybody would not want to be in those circumstances. Like, would you want to live in LA the rest of your life?
Depends
Put you on the spot.
Depends what part.
Yeah, I
Get
think,
Beverly Hills, maybe, but
yes.
Or I'm in the hills.
yeah,
There are the really cool pockets in LA.
yeah.
Right now, I'm right in Hollywood in the craziness.
Is it the same place it was like a couple years ago when I went and visited you? Is it that same place?
Not in the hills.
I don't.
Yes,
I don't know what happens.
I don't know.
Ah,
It was
somewhere.
It was not in the hills. The one
Okay.
after that.
Something like that.
I was gonna be like the one on this and this street.
No
My
idea.
address is.
No.
Yeah. Like, we went and grabbed lunch, and I'm like, that was like the worst traffic day for me, is because I got caught. There was like some street fair going on. And I'm like, of course there is, and there's no parking anywhere. I'm like, forget it.
Yep.
I feel like that's the thing with LA though. Like you, especially like as an outsider, like somebody who doesn't live there, driving in, it's like you're almost intimidated, right? It's like so big, so sprawling,
Yeah.
so much stuff going on. But then like you get down to it, and like I don't know, it's like you kind of settle into like a place,
Yeah.
and you kind of recognize, okay, this is pretty cool. Like it's a cool vibe. Like everyone kind of just gets along, and like it's not. I don't know. It's just it's a cool place. Like you guys said, it's like you can really kind of find anything you want in LA.
Absolutely.
Jem, I have 2 questions for you. One, if someone said, here's the nicest house like we could possibly give you in LA or Paris, which one would you take?
Paris.
Shocker.
Ooh. Well, all right. So that
I
settles
have
that.
it envisioned
All right,
in
so
my
second
mind.
question.
Yes.
What is your opinion of Cody?
Don't answer.
Who?
Do not answer.
Don't
Do not
answer
answer.
that,
Who's that?
Edit. Cody, what's your goal in life? What do you want? What do you want out of all the things?
I want to be just like you.
Stop. I don't think that's funny. You're making fun of me.
So
Condescending.
when we did Social Norm, Cody was done up and all like he was the one the most I guess different from how he actually is.
He was.
Luke was the most different. Take
Wait,
that
what are you
back.
talking about?
I'll take that back. Luke was the most different.
That's harsh.
Yeah. He's actually never acted.
It's always-
He's actually
It's always
he's actually
forgot about
never acted.
I was just me. I was just
That's all I
portraying
forgot.
me.
Anyway, I think as far as
Visibly.
visibly as far as
Aesthetically,
appearance go,
yeah.
Cody went the furthest for his character. And what were your reactions, Jem, when you saw Cody in that getup?
Slip and slide.
So shocked.
Like, oh my god. Wow.
That guy.
He looked real mean.
Yeah.
Like normal.
He looked like Billy Joe Armstrong. Or is it Billy Joel?
No,
Billy
it's
Joel.
yeah. Billy Joel is the lead singer of Green Day. Everybody.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
I'd watch that.
Make it happen.
Totally.
Make it happen, Billy Joel.
No, anyway, here's something I do
For
want to
the
talk about.
longest time.
So we were talking about. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna make this a little personal now. As far as guys go in LA. Now, Josh and I literally told Josh, I said we can't talk about this. We have to save this for a podcast conversation. It's in terms of dating. So I've done online dating. Josh has done online dating. I'm pretty sure Cody's done it too, but we don't know because he doesn't say anything.
He never
Don't ask me any questions.
Are you looking at your wallet right now? Oh no, it was your phone. I thought you were looking.
He's on Instagram right now.
He's on Bumble right now.
Yeah. Let me ask you, as a
Bumble.
female,
Yes.
I hope. I don't know. We're gonna.
Whoa.
Plot twist.
Do you prefer? Which do you prefer? Do you prefer if guys approach you in person, like at a bar or in a social situation, anywhere out in the real world, or do you prefer the online dating method? Which one do you prefer?
Well, it's funny because I saw a meme about this. Girls are like, oh, I wish a guy would come up and talk to me and like meet someone in real life. And then someone comes up to talk to you and you're like, don't talk to me, you weirdo.
Crazy creep.
And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this was Josh.
Because they have no shirt on.
No, I think it's always nicer meeting in person. It kind of takes the whole, are you a serial killer thing, and lowers that possibility. But, I've met some really, really terrible people through friends.
And some great people online.
And some great people online. So I think...
Problem solved. Right there.
Yeah.
That literally settles it right there.
I think the answer is it's complicated.
No, the answer is people
it
are people.
depends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think online dating allows weirdos to have more access to meeting people.
Yeah.
That's one negative. But weirdos are everywhere. I'm in a room full of them right now.
Yeah.
So
What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, and here's the thing is that I completely agree with you that I don't think one is better than the other. Josh, are you arguing that one is better than the other?
No, I'm arguing that you meet the same people you meet in person as you do online.
Okay. Yeah, then I can agree with you.
No, so the only reason that the subject frustrates me is because usually when you're talking about this in a group of people, there's always a couple individuals that will imply that like it's creepy or desperate or like ill-advised to online date. And I hate it because again I always think back it's just because it's relatively new. So it's far more accepted than it used to be. So when cell phones first come out, it was like, oh, we got Mr. Business over here. We got someone who's like
Gordon Gekko.
too good for us. Yeah,
Yeah.
like we got Mr. Wall Street.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, really? Because like I can not drive home to call somebody because I purchased a cell phone and you didn't, and for some reason you're angry at me for it. And so online, meaning I hate the newness of something for whatever reason bringing criticism.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think of, the way I think about it is, if anything, I will say online dating is better, and for one reason and one reason only. If you have a high bar for your companion, meaning you're looking for someone that checks a lot of boxes, you should, because otherwise you have a low bar. They have to be good looking, they could be dumb, they could be mean, but as long as they're this, and then you could find that easy. You don't have to go online. You can go to the grocery store. But if you have a high bar and a lot of boxes to check, then what does that mean? You have to cast a wider net. How do you do that without being online? It literally means you have to have a really wide physical social circle, which is difficult to do. Mm-hmm. And so you run no risk. There is no downside to widening those possibilities to casting a wider net.
I disagree. There is one downside to that, and I did figure this out, because I agree with you that there's obviously a wider net when it comes to Tinder or any of these social media profiles, but or dating profiles. I mean, the downside is the paradox of choice, and grass is always greener. There's actually studies that show that when people are constantly swiping, there's always more options.
It's always FOMO. I feel like online dating has made it great for dating if you want to just date around a bunch of people.
Yes.
But it's always like, oh, I like them. They're cool. But is there something better out there? Let me
that's
see.
the downside.
No,
it's destroyed real relationships, I think.
Which is not a problem for Josh.
Yeah. Jackpot.
It's made it really hard to have something serious because people are always looking.
So what I would say is it might make it easier only for the people who are probably already going to do that.
Yeah.
So look, infidelity did not become invented along with the online dating apps. And I've met people who have successful, very happy marriages that met online.
Yeah.
Because the thing that is inside of you that makes you feel like the grass is greener on the other side at all times, again, was not invented with online dating. Mm-hmm. If you meet someone at the grocery store and they're an attractive person, and you become like, that thing inside of you makes, when you, the next time you go to the grocery store and find a more attractive person, that is the greener grass. Now it's exacerbated with online dating, absolutely, because you find more greener grass.
It's more accessible.
It is, but it does not extract the original problem. It just makes it maybe more of a possibility. But that is a problem of the individual and not the actual mechanism that we're talking about.
But I also think it's made that more prevalent, I think it's kind of grown that aspect when before it wasn't as common, or that feeling was smaller or wasn't there, and now it's grown and grown.
That's absolutely a possibility, but I would say it can't get any worse, because the divorce rate was 50% before online dating came out. Mm-hmm. So that problem already existed for sure. Now, here's the thing. If in 10 years there's some type of consensus done or whatever, and the divorce rate's 30%, then I will agree and I will say maybe net bad thing. But at the same time, I could also say that for those people who are discerning and who have a very particular vision of what they're compatible with, are able to find it. And if they wait to find that and get married or have a relationship, the likelihood that that's a successful long-term relationship, I think, goes up. Because you're not at the mercy of who you happen to run across physically, which is a very small percentage of people. Mm-hmm. And I would hope that someone has a very high bar for who they want in a companion. It's not just, hey, of all the people I happen to run into, you're not too bad. So let's do it.
Well, my one contention with that though is that like before the internet came around, you're just saying that people just never met each other. Like I think human beings meet each other just fine.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, before there's online dating, the divorce rate was already 50%. Meaning there was some pretty green grass going on besides what was at home.
It was 50% for not forever though.
Yeah,
for all of humanity, it was pretty high. But it's just in the last couple of years, there's been a change culturally speaking, if you will.
Not in the last couple of years. Like in the 90s, it was like 50%.
Well, yeah. I mean,
before online dating.
like 60s. But if you go back even further than that, like in the 1920s, the divorce rate wasn't 50%. It was way lower.
I get it, but what I'm saying is it has nothing to do with online dating. It has nothing to do with access to more people.
Well, that's my point, though, is that because in whatever cultural change that was that made the 50% go up, before that, human beings met each other just fine without there being some wider net.
No. The problem is not meeting someone. It is the caliber of the person you're meeting and how compatible they are with you. So if you have two things that you require for your significant other, and those two things are good looking and not abusive, yeah, you can find someone at the grocery store or at your local PT.
I don't think that's what people were after in the 1920s.
Okay, slight hyperbole, but you get my point.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, with the larger population of people that are candidates, you get to increase the specificity. So you get to say,
not on Tinder,
which
is the biggest dating app. You get one option; they're good looking. Right? Is that what it is?
I don't know what.
You said you get to get specific options as to what they're like.
No,
this will be a person's
I'm not
accustomed
saying.
to
I'm
me.
not saying
No,
I'm not
not
saying the
anymore.
actual breakdown of what you can select. I'm just saying
Number of options.
With a larger population of people, you get to be more specific. So if you were starving and I said, "Hey, here's a piece of old sourdough bread, and here's like a taco that was from 1940."
The taco, definitely.
I mean, obviously. Well, what I'm saying is like that's your only. But if I so you are at the mercy of your options, and being at the mercy of your options isn't always a great thing. And so if you have a really long list of criteria, which at a certain like you really should in the end for a serious companion, you only benefit from a larger population to pick from, because that's the closer you can get to that person that you have in mind for someone who's compatible with you.
Again, if your one goal is just I need more options, then sure.
No,
but I don't think that the option that is immediately better because of that. I think it's what you said too is the FOMO. It's the fear of missing out. I need to find someone, so I need to cast a wider net. Again, I've done online dating. I had pretty good success with it.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's
pervert.
not a bad thing. Like it's obviously
Never happy, dude.
But the one downside is that, and we've seen this in studies, is that like people that use dating apps it's more for hookups. That's what it's for. Is that people are not, like you said, it's kind of killing relationships, if you will. Again, dating online is good.
Relationships are doing great before online dating.
Yeah. Well, they obviously have, because of all human history without internet, it was pretty much okay.
Yeah, and it was 50% divorce rate before
Not
online.
forever, though. Again, I don't know what again, we can call it more radical ideas. Again, I don't know, maybe feminism or something like that. Change it to where men stopped, or they were like, I can't abuse my wife anymore. So suddenly women are like, I'm out of here.
They're gonna leave.
Yeah. They're gonna get out of here.
Sure. All I'm saying is like it wasn't like a utopia before online dating came out.
Well, it's not a utopia now that online dating's out.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because online dating didn't really change it one way or the other.
And I see what you're saying. Like if you know what you want from a partner, you have more opportunity to meet exactly what you want, and that's great about online dating. But I do believe there's this other side of, dissatisfaction, of like saying, oh, I have so many options that I just want to keep going. And I'm someone who in the past was always a relationship person, and I was always wanting to like get serious with someone, and it was so easy and it happened so easily. And then for a while I was like, no, I just want to date, I want to see what it's about. And I ended up being that person, like, oh, they're great, but let's just see. And that wasn't a quality that I always had. It's not like I was always searching for something better, but I feel like the accessibility of online dating exacerbated that.
But I'm not saying it's all good. I think in the end it's a net a neutral impact, because before you were on online dating, you were more relationships, but would you say that was always a good thing?
I mean, I think I still found quality people that I had long-term relationships with that were good. It wasn't like, oh, I committed to like something terrible, or oh, I'm stuck
You
in
never
this.
thought that? That's awesome.
Well,
Maybe a little
let's
bit.
not talk about my exes. But it's like I wouldn't say it was negative back in that time, in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't want to go back. I wouldn't be like, no, online dating for anyone, because I agree. It's good to have the options.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like there is a negative impact if you are searching for something serious and something like marriage, because everyone that you're online dating with, they're online dating with the big pool as well.
You know what's, I don't know, there's something about it where if I find the right person and we have some kind of chemistry and match and it clicks, the fact that we have the opportunity to meet so many people and yet we stay together makes it like that much better. Mm-hmm. I'm like, look, either of us with a few clicks could have access to that many people, but we don't, and it makes it that much more
It
special.
is a testament. I definitely see that.
Yeah. Luke, you're going to say something. What are you going to say?
God dang it! Stop tickling me.
Okay. No promises.
No, I was just gonna say, like, as an
What?
as an outsider looking in, I've never used online
Through the
dating.
window? You
Through
creep.
with,
Get out of my bushes!
with binoculars
Dude, you're right there. You don't need binoculars.
through the rifle scope.
Horse.
Through the
No.
rifle scope.
No,
Stop!
no. I think I don't think online dating necessarily has exacerbated any issue. I think it's
What'd you
just
say?
exacerbated. And masturbated. Has masturbated any issues? No. It's just expedited the process of dating. You're right. It's the
Dude,
same.
you're all over me.
It's the same. You're right, Josh. It's the same pool of people because really, I mean, unless you're like traveling elsewhere, you're all in the same area generally, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same pool of people. It just speeds up the process of meeting new people. I think, Dylan, to your point, I think it's social norms.
It's all
swear to
tied
God,
together.
I swear to God, I'll punch you in the face.
What if you did? You just sock back. Oh, best episode ever.
No, I think it is, the
Charades.
Social norms
The
aren't.
social norms that have changed regarding relationships and like, what is acceptable and unacceptable as far as like divorce rate, as far as how many people can you date at one time or in a short amount of time. It's just like nobody really cares anymore
Well, here's
about
the
that
thing.
kind of thing. It's like
Yeah.
it used to be you date one person at a time and it's for a long enough time to where you get really, really comfortable with them, and then you figure out, okay,
Yeah.
this person is not right for me. I'm going to slowly break up with them and then find someone else.
Yeah, yeah.
And like now that's not really the case.
Yeah.
Well, also, and maybe the divorce rate should be 50% because when divorce was such a taboo and it was such a scarlet letter before the 80s and 90s, all that meant was that people lived really unhappy lives.
100%. I don't disagree with
And
that.
looked the other way with about infidelity or dealt with the abuse. And maybe the entire time it should have been 50%.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think there's a lot of factors. There's not just one.
I'm not saying it's necessarily true. All I'm saying is it's as likely to be true as whatever other theory you can propose.
Yeah, again, I think there's multiple factors. There's people became less religious. There's the rise of feminism. The women have a lot more
Second time you
liberation.
mentioned feminism. What do you think about feminism, Dylan? What
I think it's the
problem?
worst thing ever.
Oh my God, I knew it.
Get out.
Oh God, I knew it.
No. Like obviously, there's a lot of factors involved here. Like, again, cultural differences. Again, I don't think it's necessarily because like I found you in the grocery store, therefore this is what the problem was. Like I think that there could be a lot of things that contributed to the 50% divorce rate. As far as online dating goes, I don't think that there is one that's better than the other. I think they're same, but they have pros and cons. And like you said, I think it's the FOMO, it's the fear of missing out. I don't necessarily think it's proven yet that the relationships are working out better. Maybe in time we will see those statistics go up. I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
It'd be really interesting, actually, if they did.
How
interesting would that
too.
be?
But the thing is that the thing that makes me skeptical about that is that the number one dating website or dating app is Tinder. Has nothing to do with whether or not they're good for me. It's just whether or not they're good looking.
But see, that to me is a categorically inaccurate statement, because what you want out of it is 100% dependent on the person. It's not like, hey, before you download this app, we're going to arrive at your house and do a psychological profile on you and figure out if you are shallow or just looking for physical pleasure before you download our app.
But I think there is a clear distinction between how someone looks in a picture versus how they are in like a social situation. Well, you can pick up a lot of differences in those situations.
Well, absolutely.
And so if I'm going to go just based off like a woman's Instagram picture, if you will, it's probably all done up and looked and great and whatnot, as opposed to like, I mean, as guys go, especially guys, they're probably just going, any chick will do. Whereas girls are going like, which guy is going to not rape me?
So let's pretend that internet doesn't exist, and you're a guy and you go to grocery store, church, you go to a bar, you go to a restaurant. It wasn't like at that point you were like, who has the best personality around me?
I think there again.
It was who's the good-looking girl around me.
Yeah, it's the
no,
same
no.
mechanism.
And here's the thing: is that I don't think that those two things are just mutually exclusive. I think those two things go together. Like when you look at a guy, do you go, he's good-looking, and I don't care if he's a d-bag? They kind of go like,
no. It's very important that they can talk normally and interact.
A guy in person can do that
creepy.
just as easily as a guy on the internet. Like you don't find out until you meet them. Just like if you see someone across the street or you see someone online, you meet them and you find out if the physical attraction extends to something more. And often it doesn't, but that's the way it's supposed to be, because you're supposed to have a lot of criteria that extends beyond that.
That's exactly my point.
What?
It just expedites the process.
Yeah, it's more like fast food, because you just line
not good
everything
for
up
you.
faster.
You know what?
Which is not good for you. Yeah.
No, right there. I agree, which is why it's the best thing in the world.
And I have to say, though, I believe Bumble is a lot more popular now than Tinder.
what about Grindr?
Are you on there all the time?
Yeah.
How do you think me and Dylan met?
And I think women really like Bumble because they make the first move.
Yeah, it's a really cool take on online dating.
Yeah, I think that's actually good.
Even though I hate it. Why would you match with me then?
There's something weird about a
You're
woman
not gonna-
hitting on you first. It's flattering, but it's always this weird thing of like, what do you want? Like, I don't know. It seems like there's alternative
Roles are
motives
reversed.
there. Yeah. Have you done? I'm gonna ask you. Have you done Bumble?
I've done Bumble.
I like
I'm
that
not
he's-
currently.
What's your opening line?
What's your address? What's your address?
and social.
Yeah.
I'm
what's your
not
dating
currently
routine?
doing anything.
Except
but
cocaine.
except for hard drugs.
Lucky?
But in the past, I usually try look at their little blurb or their photos and comment about that or create a conversation about that. Because if you just say like, "Hi," then they're gonna be like, "Oh, what? That's all you come at me with?" You know?
Yeah. I don't know what fonts you use to convey that.
Strong italics.
It's obviously
Or
virus.
I just
exclamation
use wingdings every time I go.
point.
Square, chicken, square.
I mean, isn't that's like a whole meme thread, right? Of just like opening lines on Tinder and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
I've
the
seen
apps.
hilarious ones.
I pride myself on my online dating banter.
I have given guys chances when I don't think they're that cute, but they're funny. So I'm like,
Yeah, it's called
okay.
it's called evolution, baby. That's all we got. So I since I became single, I started online dating, and I I have really low patience for a lot of it because I just don't like exchanging pleasantries. It's frustrating for me. I don't know. And fortunately, I don't have idle hands too much. Work a lot. Blah blah blah. But the one girl I've met so far that graduated from like Bumble messaging to text message, I messed up completely because she gave me her number and I texted her and I was like, "Hey, okay, let's go for drinks this Friday," and she responded, and we'll have a cutaway. I'll screenshot it. And she was like, "Oh, I would love to. How about next Friday because I'm gone from Thursday to Monday?" And I responded with, "Funny, I don't remember you running that by me."
Yikes!
And she never responded.
That's a gamble right there.
I know, but
That's a gamble.
It's funny.
It
is
what,
funny.
Because we know you,
But
Right.
like, yeah, you know me. But see that to me is how you is the line in the sand.
Right.
It's look, if
It's
you're
the
not
filter
if you're
by
not going to
which-
get this,
yeah.
then it's not worth.
It seems like that's
Whatever.
almost a lose-lose in a certain way. Because if she doesn't get it, it's not funny. But if she does get it, you're like, dude, you're crazy.
No, it's jackpot. It's you. Yeah, you run it by me.
I tend to joke a lot about serial killers in my messages.
See, it's a little
And
too
I'm
close to
like-
home for me, so I don't.
And I'm like, oh, he's laughing and making jokes about it, so he's totally fine. I'm like, but what if he really is a serial killer? And he's like, oh, finally someone gets it.
Yeah.
It all works out. I like that. That's funny.
And I heard, I don't know if this is still true, but I heard that you have a rating on Bumble as a guy. So the more clicks you get, the more popular you are, the more that you're shown to women. So it was like the
SEO
top
for men.
20 guys were being shown to all the women and dating all the women.
I would never do Bumble.
Yeah,
Those
that
kids
sounds
have
It
the
was-
lowest
well,
ratings.
here's the thing. Like, if I was in that 20, I'd be like, damn right. But I don't think I'm in
But
that 20.
not being
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
It's cool.
How come this doesn't work?
Yeah.
I wonder if anybody ever searched for the bottom like rated guys. Just like, what do these guys like?
Is anybody out there?
Any place- Anyway, we are out of time, but thank you, Jem, for stopping by. We appreciate
My
you
pleasure.
being here. I thank you to Legs as well for being here. And Josh is sick. We've lost it with him. But anyway, you guys should check out Jem's Instagram. It is lovely. I've checked it out as well, and it's got all these great photographs and whatnot. And you've been all over the place. It looks like you live quite the adventurous life.
I try.
Try your best. But if you guys don't want to check out her profile, you should check out our profile
Don't.
online dating.
But just
so
check out mine.
self-promoting.
We're
Dylan.
so single. I should have done this at the beginning. No one watches to the end. But anyway, subscribe to our YouTube channel and all the other accounts that we're on, including Instagram. We're not as cool as Jem, but maybe we'll get there one day. But
Thanks
Worst-
for having me, you guys. It's so great being back, and I hate to say this, but I missed you. You
Aw.
guys are awesome.
She's capable
Thank you
of,
for
ladies and
joining
gentlemen,
us.
she's capable of deceit.
I am an actress.
she puts on a performance
Exactly.
just like this. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Bye.